Let's do this. Overtime Sports Show is back. How you living out there? This is, I think, episode 8. Wow.
That it is.
Feels like we've been doing this for a minute now. Episode 8. Greg Gross, Dan O'Brien here with you for the next hour and a half or so. Got a great show for you again this week. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about. So break it down for you. We've actually got a special guest on the show going to be joining us today. Chris Dolan, friend of the program, director of sales for the Florida Panthers, is going to stop by and spend some time with us, talk a little sports in Southwest Florida. Of course, we got a recap of some NFL action, college football, a little bit of NHL and NBA in the mix. But before we get into all of that, I'm looking at my partner over here, and he doesn't have anything on his head. So come on, Dan, I know you got something for me. You want to show me what you got this week?
Yep, I'm going to call this a little bit of foreshadowing action for later in the show. We're going to do our top sports venues. So right now I got myself a little purple Colorado Rockies hat for a awesome stadium that I went to. So there'll be more to follow on that when we talk about our venues, top 5. So just wanted to keep everybody for a loop. Got a new hat on for everybody. So Colorado Rockies purple, rocking and rolling. That. Oh, yeah.
That's a nice looking hat. The color pops, the CR pops. I like that.
Hey. That's what we do, man. That's what we do.
So what'd that set you back? Did you buy that at the stadium?
Oh, yeah. So a little background. I know we talked about it just a little bit, but my goal is any single stadium I go to, I'm trying to buy a hat at a stadium, unless it's the Red Sox, as we talked about a couple episodes ago. But, yeah, about 30 large. But, you know, it is what it is. But you have an experience, and it's really cool. So
it's part of the collection now. I like it.
Part of the collection. I got it 2 years ago, and like I said, a little bit of foreshadowing. I'll be talking about that when we talk about our venues. So
yeah, awesome.
I'm pumped for it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so. Good stuff.
Yes, sir.
So probably start like we usually do. Talk a little MNF from last night, Monday Night Football. Pretty interesting game that we all saw, or maybe it wasn't interesting, depending on what side you were on. I don't know about you, Dan, but this is getting a little old when we're watching the Bills now. They're sitting at 5-5 after what we saw last night. And I was watching Jim Rome today, and he coined it pretty well when he described the Bills as just another team. And really never thought I'd hear the day recently when they were described that way, but I don't think he's wrong. The Bills, maybe they're lucky to be considered just another team, because if they keep playing the way they're playing, they're going to be falling even further into the depths of, dare I say, teams like my Giants and whatnot. They're not quite there, obviously, but what we saw last night was just pretty lackluster play all around. We've talked about it a number of weeks now in a row. What's going on with the Bills? Doesn't seem like anybody quite has the answer. Josh Allen made a couple turnovers yesterday. Still seems to be, I don't know how you want to describe it, careless, reckless with the ball, but just untimely interceptions. You can say a lot about the guy, how he seems to have the heart of a lion. He runs hard. He's a fierce competitor, but something about him, he's just not protecting the ball. And I don't know if it goes all the way back to last year. You know, there's been some changes. We talked about how Daboll is now with the Giants for a couple of years. He may be missing him. They don't seem to have much of a running game. Last night, even James Cook put the ball on the ground a couple times. And, we talked some fantasy football last week, and I'm a Buffalo Bills defensive team fantasy owner, and they're not doing me any favors on the defensive side of the ball either. So really just all around they're just playing quite poor, losing to teams that are both good and bad. And it's gotten to them to where they are 5-5. And I'm sure you heard the news. People out there saw Ken Dorsey get the axe. And, to me, that's not a surprise. I think when you're playing the way they are, somebody's got to be held accountable. I kind of thought it was going to be McDermott, but it looks like he gets at least a 1 week stay of execution. But I'll tell you, if they lose to the Jets coming up this week, he might be the next on the chopping block. Things look pretty bleak if you're a Bills fan and part of Bills Mafia. And I was kind of surprised at what we saw last night. But, maybe if you've been paying attention in the last couple of weeks, maybe we shouldn't be surprised. So I don't know. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. When we talked about last week when they played the Bengals, I remember we both mentioned when he did the do his chin and he got unsportsmanlike conduct. He was out there just trying to prove himself. And I believe that finally, going like last week, I said defenses are finally trying to figure out how to defend him and putting, 8 in the box and doing the QB spy. And that's really showing to fruition. I mean, last night he had, I want to say 2 interceptions, and he's had, I want to hear a stat, 19 to 20 interceptions over the last, year and a half, which is a lot for a quarterback of his skill set. And the craziest thing is the game last night. I mean, if you watch the game last night, Damar Hamlin, who everybody knows about Damar Hamlin, Boomer and Gio, who we both listened to, they were saying maybe it was his first field action since he had his cardiac arrest. Maybe he was one of the ones who had the 12 men on the field and got that flag and got the game-winning field goal. So yeah, it's very interesting that, they missed the field goal and then they get a flag for too many men on the field. And there they go again and game-winning field goal because it was all cost by themselves. And I don't think, kind of switching things, I don't think that McDermott's going to get a axe just because he's got a lot of clout and he's a really good coach and he's got a lot of background and I don't think he's going anywhere because
is he a really good coach though? You believe that after what we saw last night? I mean,
look what he's done the last couple of years. What happened before he was there in Buffalo? How many playoff appearances did they have? So you got to take that into account. I mean, he's a great coach. Ken Dorsey definitely needed to get fired. I still believe, as you mentioned, they're still missing Brian Dable as a key component to their offensive staff. So it's going to be interesting, but I just think that McDermott won't get the axe just because of his background, his clout, his resume, as they would say. But it is just very interesting that Damar Hamlin comes on the field for the first time and they get flagged for 12 men on the field.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because that's such a good story, that guy coming back.
Such a great story, yeah.
I saw the odds of comeback player of the year, and there's guys like Breece Hall who are up there, a couple others who I didn't really think kind of were worthy of it, but leading the board is obviously Hamlin. So that's a good story. Feel good for him coming back, but yeah, if he was responsible for them, and that penalty, that's unfortunate. But I don't know. I think a guy like McDermott is largely responsible for it. And you mentioned that we talked about they're missing Dayball, but if that's truly one of the bigger pieces and why they are where they are, isn't it McDermott's responsibility to find a replacement? I mean, I feel like that's part of the head coaching duties is to get an OC, if it's not Dorsey, to get a defensive coordinator to build the staff underneath you that you can manage, because I don't know. I just look at the organizational structure, ownership, GM, if it's not them, the next guy is the head coach. And we already saw the OC get fired. So maybe he does have clout, like you said, but if they keep playing the way they do, they just have too much talent on the roster. You can't waste Josh Allen's prime years. And going back to last year too, you mentioned, look what they've done recently, but I got to think, what have they done recently? I mean, last year, or was it last year, the year before, they flamed out in 13 seconds to Patrick Mahomes? I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow too. And they're not doing anything this year to make fans forget about that moment. So I don't know. Did you happen to catch some of the drama between Diggs and what happened with his brother, his tweet that he put out there?
I did not see that one. No, enlighten me a little bit. I did not see that.
I didn't realize Trayvon, his brother on the Cowboys, is done for the year. I didn't realize that he's
he tore his ACL. So, I want to say in the preseason.
Yeah, So he's sitting on the sidelines, I guess. He's watching his brother play. And at the end of the game, he tweeted out, very, very brief. He says, man, 14 got to get up out of there. And I'm thinking, man,
interesting.
He puts it out there for the world, and it's hard to disagree with him. I mean, same thing. Diggs has got a lot of talent, and you got to wonder what would it be like if he was somewhere else, not in Buffalo, because I mean, there's just a lot of guys are going to have to start answering the bell, I think, here. If the season continues to go the way it goes and they go into the tank, because there's just so much talent. And to your point, if they've been sniffing, a Lombardi trophy the last couple of years, at some point you got to get over the hump. And it doesn't look like they're going over the hump. It looks like they're falling back down the hill. So interesting stories there. It'll be interesting to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, it will be. And the reason why I want to say that they hired Ken Dorsey and promoted him from quarterback coach to offensive coordinator is he was, he's been around the organization for a very long time. He was also a 4-year starter at Miami when Miami was awesome between early 2000s. So I believe that McDermott, what he did, he probably was very comfortable with what was going on. He wanted to keep the hire in-house, and now this is a little slap of reality. So I think that McDermott, he's going to go outside the organization and get the person that he wants for offensive coordinator. And I think that they're going to be okay just because all that talent, like you said. I mean, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, James Cook, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, they got a solid squad. So I think they should be fine. But that's here nor there. But
they do. So take a little bit of a short timeout, a short break from our NFL talk here for just a moment, because as promised, we're joined by a dear friend of the program, somebody who's been in the sports industry for a better part of a decade plus now. He's worked for a number of organizations. He's been part of the Orange Bowl committee. He's been part of the Florida State Seminoles boosters. He spent 7+ years working for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a sales manager. And for the last 2 years, he's been director of sales for the Florida Panthers. We are joined right now by Chris Dolan. Chris, my man,
there he is.
Thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing? And what do you think about that introduction?
I'm flattered. This is awesome, man. This is great. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So pumped. No, this has been good, man. And I've been talking to DOB through the past couple episodes, man, coaching him up on what my fine ear of podcast can relay. But it's been good, man. I think you guys are on to something special, and it's cool, like hanging out with you guys on a weekend over some beers or at some games, and now just being able to do this every week and catch it on my way into work. It's been good, man. So I'm happy to be a part of the program.
Love it, my man. You are a treasure. Yeah, we are blessed and honored to have you spend some time with us. We know it's an odd start time on the evenings, but it's awesome. And as you said, like, we often get to catch up on the weekends and whatnot, but being able to do it during the week is even more special. We got a whole bunch of sports talk, obviously, to get into, and we want to pick your brain about everything going on down there. Before we get into that, one thing we don't get to talk about, I don't get to talk about with you when we do get together and hang out, we're always just grabbing a brew and just relaxing. We don't get to talk work too much, but one thing is I'm always envious of guys like you, my friends who are in the sports business. And I'm always curious what that's like. So I wanted to kind of pick your brain for the listeners out there. It might even be educational for somebody that's probably trying to get into the sports business, and being that you're kind of a veteran now, tell me a little bit, because it's going to be educational for me too. Like how you got started in the industry, where you've come up from and what you're doing now with the Panthers.
Yeah, and it's nuts when I talk to the guys on my team now. I'm referencing being in the industry a decade plus, and hear you say, Greg, I'm like, man, that dates me, because I remember coming into the industry and you talk to people that ran it a decade. You're like, yep. Man, like you're on the Mount Rushmore of the sports industry. And graduated college, and during that time I got an internship with an arena football team. So that's a fun sport, man. I haven't heard you guys cover too much arena football, but those games are nuts, man.
We're the Orlando Predators. I'm not a fan.
What's up?
Not a fan.
You're not a fan?
Keep going. No, sir.
But arena, man, it was a different beast. But that was my internship, and it's like, man, if you can grind through an internship in arena football, like, man, I can definitely make it in the pros. So did everything with that internship. We picked up players from the airport, read them. There was like, did a little bit of legal, uneducated, but just on the legal side of things. But was reading contracts. Back in the day, it was like Yellow Book's phone pages, like on partnerships. They were just calling everybody, like, hey, see if they can get a partnership or a banner on our wall around the arena, or they would try to provide the meals. They try to get 21 meals fed for the players because they weren't paying them anything, so that they can get restaurant sponsors to do 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, like anything. So did the partnership side, and then the ticket sales side. I got in the sales room there, and it had this like lifeblood about it. I played football my whole life, so going into like a locker room playing football, like that's kind of what it felt like. And I mean, these guys are getting paid to talk sports with people. So and for arena football. So when I graduated, I knew like that's really where I wanted to dive into. And the Orange Bowl committee, I'm from South Florida. So the Orange Bowl committee in Miami, even my first job was $9 an hour. And parents were thrilled. Like, oh, great. You got a college degree, graduated, you're coming back, living at home, making $9 an hour. I'm like, let's go. And, but it was good, man. It got me to really cut my teeth on selling a game there on the ticket sales side and selling the experience. Cause it was a 6-month program. 5 of the 6 months, I didn't know who the teams were going to be. So you're really selling the experience, and grinded through the first 6 months on this, really just laid my foundation, so to speak, and had an opportunity to land a full-time gig with Florida State and went up to Tallahassee. And I would say I moved up to the South because that was the furthest north I've ever lived, and froze because I'm a South Florida guy, and you put somebody in there and it gets in the 30s. It's a different beast, but college football is great. And I know we're going to talk about through some venues here later, but Doak Campbell Stadium is an electric atmosphere on a game day. And really love like the premium sales side of things. And I felt like I could have stayed at FSU a long time. My roommate at the time, Mark Cameron, he's now the associate AD of sales and service. He's climbed the ladder over there, loving life. And my wife, she's my girlfriend at the time, lived in Tampa. So I was like, man, I got to pivot to Tampa. That parlayed that opportunity to move into Tampa, and ended up working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And once I made it in the NFL, I felt like, man, this is it. Now I made it, right? Like you get drafted. For me, I went from college to the pros. I always joke that Jameis followed me because I left Florida State the year during Jameis's run where they won the national championship. But I watched the championship game from my house in Tampa, working for a team with Josh Freeman at quarterback with the Buccaneers, and seeing my friends celebrate a national championship. But from a career standpoint, the NFL was where it was at. And I loved it. And the opportunity to sell a bad team on the field is what my career has been built on until 2020. We hit with COVID. I'll never forget. It was Friday the 13th, March 13th, 2020. We're like, man, let's go work remote for 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, like, nobody knows what we're doing. Let's go work remote. So we transitioned a sales team of 30 plus. We have Jameis Winston at quarterback for the Bucs. We don't know really what our future is going to be. It's off season, Super Bowl wrapped up. I think the Super Bowl was in Miami. Chiefs had won it. Keep me honest on that one. No, yeah, they won it, right? Miami? The 49ers won it?
They played the 49ers. They beat them.
Yeah, they beat the 49ers.
No,
yeah, so Miami, and then whatever. So like we're in the off season.
Yes.
And we get set up that Monday after Friday the 13th, cruising, still don't know who our quarterback's going to be. And then it was St. Patrick's Day, DOB's favorite holiday. And March 17th was a Tuesday. And we get these notifications going out that Bucs are going to land Tom Brady. Something I'm going to write a book one day, and it was just insane. We stayed on the phones. We had calls coming in till probably like 1 a.m. We hit our annual goal for new memberships, what we wanted to sell that year. We sold more in an hour time span than our entire annual goal of season pass memberships, just with the influx. We crashed Ticketmaster. We had over 100,000 person waiting list online trying to buy tickets. And it was still full capacity because we're like, COVID's not real. It's going to go away. We'll be fine. And then that whole off season, it was like, all right, cool. You sold out a stadium. Now it's going to go down to 25%. It was just a bunch of logistics, but messed around and won a Super Bowl that year. And once in a lifetime opportunity. Dan, I don't think, Greg, you've ever been to the house in Tampa, but Dan's been there, literally walking distance to Raymond James Stadium. So We walked to the Super Bowl, won it, after party, Migos, Ludacris is there. We're literally living a dream.
Wow.
Nice.
Rusted
you don't
fruit.
Rusted fruit. They couldn't make it. They were busy. They were busy that day.
Okay.
But
that's okay. That's okay.
No, it's just, I mean, I could do a whole separate episode just on that 1 year. But reality was I managed a sales team that was in charge of selling a 60,000+ seat arena, and there were no seats to be sold. So for me to grow my career, opportunity presented itself with the Florida Panthers where I am now. And it's been great. I mean, I started 2 years ago. October, it was 2 years that I've been with the Panthers. And actually the past 2 times I've seen you in person, Greg, has been at a game. You were at a game.
I'm okay with that. You know, we should do it more, but if I see you at a game, that's fine, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good for us.
And live hockey, man, there's nothing like it. I didn't know anything about hockey on the ice. Like, I knew how to fill a building. I knew the behind the scenes. I knew the best practices, like forecasting, strategy, sales. Like, I knew all that, but on the ice, 2 years in, I think I finally got it. My team jokes that when I'm talking about referencing parts of the arena, I'll say, like the 50-yard line, like, I mean, center ice, you know what I mean? Or I'll say first quarter, instead of first period. I'm getting better. But no, but it's been a dream, and we've had an opportunity to come into the Florida Panthers on the front office side, at least, with a blank canvas. And as we're building out this program and bringing on staff and instilling best practices and empowering the team that we inherited and bringing on new people, the team on the ice is messing around and making playoffs. And we backed our way into the Stanley Cup final last year and got edged out by the Vegas Golden Knights. They beat a battered Florida Panthers team. But I'm all in. I'm all in. And there's no better place to be than Amerant Bank Arena on a game day, man. It's been a fun ride. So
I like it.
Yeah, so open invite whenever you guys are down, come into a game. Be a good time.
We will absolutely take you up on that. You don't have to worry about that.
We will. I'm not worried about it.
Going back to what you said, I just got a comment. Yellow Pages, man, you are old. What is that? What are Yellow Pages? Dude,
I don't know if it's a combination of being old or the arena football team at the time not having a budget for a CRM, but between the two, I was flipping through phone pages or yellow books, man, and
it sounds like you kind of paid your dues. You know, you had to work your way up to the ranks and get where you are, and it sounds like you're in a really good spot, which is awesome. Like,
in the front office,
he's younger than we are, so he's younger than we are. So actually, we're older. So I mean, that's what it is.
I'm trying to catch up on the Grays, though, with you.
Yeah, we're all getting.
I'm gonna win that. I'm gonna win that all day long. I'm not worried about it.
But it really is. There's that cadence of, like, you start off in the minors and you work your way up, and like for the sports sales career, there was always a rite of passage as we moved up the ranks, and you're meeting people that have been in the industry 3, 4, 5 years, and the running joke is like, what mascot suit have you ever worn? Because you're wearing a lot of different hats, and at some point, like, you wear a mascot suit, like they're understaffed or something like that. And especially if you come up through minor leagues, you're pulling tarp, you're wearing a mascot suit, you're cooking hot dogs. For me, I wore Obi, the mascot, the orange, for the Orange Bowl. So
no, you did not.
Yeah,
wow. That's awesome.
A photo out there somewhere. But
who do we got to bribe to get pictures of that?
Oh man, not enough money in the world, but it was cool. I mean, like that. And so now every time I see the Orange Bowl,
I know where one is.
Obi?
I know where one is. A picture of you on Obi.
Dan's got the dirt. I like it.
Leave my wife out of this.
I didn't say anything.
So I'm curious. Now that you've been doing this for so long and you got a new opportunity with the Panthers for a couple of years, what do you like most about the job that you're doing now and that you've done over the years? Like, what keeps you going? What keeps you in the industry? I imagine you must like it. You've been doing it for a while.
Man, like the people, like for me, the people straight up. I learned that from some mentors that I've had through the industry, but we've got a really good crew that pushes each other, and we're not done, man. I mean, we've had some success. We've set records. You name a metric on the ticket sales side in the past 2 years, we've crushed it from a franchise record standpoint. So, but not being satisfied, there's still work to be done. Everyone I work with, including myself, isn't done. So it's almost like being an athlete. Like, you're hitting the weight room, you're studying film. For us, there's the business equivalent to it, but no, we have a good crew. Every day's different too. I mean, if you told me I was going to come in, do the same job every day, punch the clock, I don't think I could do it, man. Every day's different. I walk in, I know what I got to get accomplished, and usually by like 9:30, there's a curveball that'll derail me for an hour, and so that part's cool. But also, like this, I mean, it's as I move up and gain more responsibility, I'm more directly impacting things that happen on a game day. So, I mean, for us, when I was selling for the Orange Bowl, yeah, maybe I sold 100 tickets, whatever, like people that are coming to the game, I created 100 memories, and that's great. And now we've evolved, and now that, you know, I have a little bit more oversight on group sales, premium sales, on the membership side of it, we've made these announcements where we sold out the entire lower bowl this year for the first time in franchise history for the Florida Panthers, and like being like, man, like choices that and the decisions we made 2 years ago, we're able to capitalize on team success, but also, you know, set the strategy to get new fans in the building and retain the fans that we do have, that we are bringing on. It's cool. And when you sit back, and we just had a cool shot, I shared it on my Instagram yesterday, I think it was, but we got a new CMO, new vision on the social side, and they had this vision of like a crowd shot that went across as the team was about to score a goal, and you see the whole arena fill up. We had over 19,000 fans.
Really cool.
We would have sold, the crowd we had on Sunday for Connor Bedard would have sold out 80% of the arenas across the NHL. And I don't know, we're having fun doing it, man. But that atmosphere on game day, knowing that you directly impacted that, and it's pretty cool, man. It's a high almost. Like you just keep chasing it, but it's like I said, it's just the challenge is always there. I don't have it figured out, and there's always something to learn. So it's it's definitely a fun industry.
And makes it interesting. I think that's awesome. I think a lot of people can relate to that in any line of work. You want something to be stimulating and rewarding. So it's awesome that you have that there. Dan, I don't want to steal all the spotlight. I know you had a couple questions for Chris yourself. If you want to throw him at him, he's doing great.
Oh, sure. So I went to Flagler College, as we know earlier, and I graduated with a degree in sport management. So I guess my question, whenever we were going to school, they were always saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So my question to you, as you've probably said it, I mean, is that kind of like a true sentiment of it's not who you know, or it's not what you know, but it's who you know? And if you can kind of extrapolate on, you know, moving from job to job and going up the ladder, is that kind of a good, true statement? People who are listening, maybe trying to get in the sports world.
Yeah, I'd say it's true, and I always build on that. And this is something I got from UCF is one, the industry's small. Everybody knows everybody. Never burn a bridge.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's a very, 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 very small industry. And there is a little bit of like not what you know, it's who you know. But for people that are looking to get the start in the industry too, and especially when I go out to colleges and we're talking to people in like these inside sales entry level programs, I get challenge them to go one step further, where it's not just who you know, but who knows you. Because these networking events and everything, like we can go to a career fair. Jordan Lyda, I know, was a guest earlier in the year. We all know Jordan. Like he put on a career fair at UCF. I represented the Bucks. I drove over there, and we had a line of people just like, I want to work in the NFL. Like you're probably talked to 200 people that day. So like a lot of people knew Chris Dolan, but if they weren't able to do something memorable, or they weren't able to follow up or anything like that, or shoot me a handwritten note with their business card or anything in it. Like if I'm not able to pick out DOB from a lineup, you know people, but if those people don't know you, you're missing the marks. That's always the challenge. And we just had league meetings in Montreal, ticketing league meetings in Montreal in early November. And even in my world now, like, you know, we're rubbing elbows with directors and VPs and chiefs and leadership across all NHL teams in Montreal. So for me to say, yeah, I knew a lot of people. Like I did. I met people across all teams, but making sure that I was memorable, followed up, had meaningful conversations with them to really build that connection. So hopefully, you know, in 6 months, if I need anything or we're connecting on the calls, they know me as well. That's always the challenge. Because LinkedIn, I mean, we get hit up on like hundreds of messages on LinkedIn, like people like connect, but go that next step further. And sometimes it's easy to get lost, but I feel like in this industry, the good ones definitely find a way to stick around, find a way to stand out.
Which makes a lot of sense. I mean, I use that same logic to my professional world. I mean, you know, I live by it's easy to be nice. So, you know, I try to be nice, and it's just never burn bridges. So I guess that makes a lot of sense in the sports world. You just always make you know, if you see a line that says, Greg Gross, who's Greg Gross? Oh, he's the one who shook my hand at this conference, or he's the one who made this happen for me. So it's very interesting just to hear, you know, from a sports professional, how you get to move up, and it's really just what you know, but who you know and who knows you. So that's very impressive.
Man, just to put it in context, when I got the job here with the Panthers, the gentleman who was at the time in charge of everything, who kind of got my foot in the door to connect with our CRO, Sean Thornton, I met him when he was on the leadership team with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I was on the Bucks. Like, we were similar roles, two professional sports teams in Tampa. Fast forward a few years, he's in the Panthers. He opens up the door and allows me to meet with Thordy, and the rest is history. So it's really just having that one mutual connection that can set yourself apart.
Very cool. Very cool. And
Makes sense.
kind of going back to my original question, do you think your foot in the door was that internship with the Orange Bowl? And if you can kind of talk about that, was that just kind of just doing anything you needed and then just getting your name out there, as you just mentioned? Is that kind of what you think got yourself a foot in the door, as they would say?
Pretty much, man. I mean, if I was willing to work for free, I wanted to make the most of it. But it was so when you graduate, right? Like, I when I talk to colleges, I'll say the same thing, this analogy, like a tool belt. When you graduate, you get a diploma, you get a tool belt, what I call it. Actually, this diploma on the back here is covered by a sign, something about Notre Dame being overrated. I don't know who put that sign there, but
I don't know. We're talking about your career. We're not talking about real cool things. So keep going.
I don't know where that sign came. That's so weird. I thought that was a
I
diploma.
like it.
But you get a diploma, right? That's a tool belt. And so when you go in for like these entry level roles and you try to get your foot in the door, it's not, or get that first role, it's not just looking for the people that have the diploma or the tool belt, it's who has the tools in that tool belt. So for me, I had my tool belt, I had my diploma, but I had my screwdriver, which was my internship experience. I had my hammer, where I helped with a Dwight Howard camp. I had opportunities with this one company called Hoop Connections on the marketing side. Like, I had all these different avenues or different opportunities that was able to add to my resume. And I think that just helps you set yourself apart. So between having a stacked resume, between knowing the right people, and getting rejected too is also big. Put your name out there, man. I've been rejected by jobs more than I've been accepted for jobs, but you learn every single time through it. So I don't know. There's just so many parallels with sports where you look at these guys that they cut their teeth. They're in the minors. They maybe get passed up for moving up for whatever reason. They get better from it. They learn from it, and it's just so many parallels, man. And that's why, like, when I recruit too, if you're an athlete or you played a sport, I automatically connect with you a little bit more because I know you kind of have that same mindset.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That
makes sense.
The rejection part, I think we can all relate to. Dan doesn't know this, but before we began this venture and I asked him to be my partner, I actually applied to be on the Kelsey podcast. I was asking them if they wanted to have a third guy on the show, and they let me down pretty hard. So I know all about that rejection.
Man, tough.
They're
lost.
It is what it is.
Yeah. It is their loss.
They're
Yeah.
lost.
It's not their loss. It's Grossie's game because he got me. So there you go.
That's right. We definitely want to get some more sports talk going. We got some things. I got some questions for you about the Panthers and hockey. We'll probably get your opinion on some football. But before we move off the work related stuff, I'm looking at your resume and whatnot, and to Dan's point, how you get started, how you get your foot in the door. Something that stood out to me was your mentorship at the clubhouse. What is that about? Is that something you've been doing for a while, and is that helping other people try to get a foot in the door?
Yeah, so non-paid plug right here, but the clubhouse. It's a tool for people to get in, man. If you're in college looking to get in the industry, you're inside sales, you're entry level and looking to advance, not just sales, it's anything in the sports industry, but General Sports Worldwide is the conglomerate that basically bought out the clubhouse, who started originally by a gentleman named Bob Hamer. And I joined the clubhouse as part of the mentorship program when Bob oversaw it at the Bucks, and it was cool. I think it's like $7.99 a month. You sign up and you have access to all these mentors. You can drop down by sales, esports, marketing, legal, anything across NASCAR, pro sports, minor leagues, like anything. So you get these lists of mentors of people like myself that not paid. I do it out of the goodness of my heart. Like, a lot of the success I've had up until this point is because I've just been surrounded by good people. So if I can be that good person for somebody, great, right? Like that doesn't help the paycheck per se, but it definitely goes a long way. And it's something I'm passionate about. So was actively involved with the Bucks and met a lot of good people that we were able to hire on with the Bucks. Other people too, like maybe we didn't have a role, but I was able to connect them and see them grow throughout the industry. So I feel like once a month I'm hit up with people that I've mentored in the past. And then when I moved down here, little, I guess, twist in the story, when I moved from Tampa to South Florida, my wife was 8 months pregnant. So we welcomed our first daughter within 2 months. We bought a house, sold a house, started a new job, had a baby. Normally you do one of those things a year, maybe. and we decided to do it all within 45 days of each other. So needless to say, there were some turbulent waters in 2021 and 2022. And I finally got to a point where, like, man, I want to go and give back. So reconnected with the people at the clubhouse, but had a couple mentorship opportunities, and they'll publish articles. So they want to make sure that the mentors aren't just making calls, but they're delivering content for the subscribers and everything like that. So I'll have an article here coming out soon. But it's more that intrinsic feel good and being able to help people more so than like a money play. But yeah, love it. So if you're looking to get your start in the industry, the Clubhouse through General Sports Worldwide is an absolute monster of a resource.
You heard it here first. The Clubhouse. Yeah, get involved. That's awesome.
Non-paid advertisement right there.
That's right.
Yeah, even for me too. I can get in there. $7.99 a month. I'm in.
No, no DOBs. I put a filter on.
Okay. Well, that's what they're talking about, breaking ceilings. I'll break the ceiling all day long.
$12.99 for you.
Okay. I ain't scared.
Yeah, there you go. That's the dog price.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
it's no big deal.
Chris, we can switch gears into some sports, and I can't really think of a better segue. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I heard you might have a special something with you today. Did you bring something along with you that you're going to share? Because if you did, we got a little something here. I tried
There's
to
a little something for you.
Yeah, so DOB let me know, and it's
there it
is.
This
is for you, my man. This is for you. You can.
Yeah.
Here's the big reveal. Oh boy.
A little trinket. I don't know if you can see all that.
You can.
Oh boy.
Give a name.
Yes, we can.
It was
Wow. Look at that, mother.
Wow. Spinning and all.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's one of those things when you work in sports, you work for bad teams. Like, you don't ever think you're going to work for a good team.
Hold it up.
It's a great song. We can keep it going.
Wow. Man, that's the thing of beauty right there.
It is.
That's sexy.
Got the name on the side.
Wow.
That is nice. Look
that is so cool.
Wow.
That is really cool.
So, yeah, and in this industry too, like if you're working in revenue generation and you're trying to pack the house, teams that win don't need me. They don't need my role. They need retention. They need market. They don't need sales. So it's just coincidentally when I worked for FSU, they were decent, but you know, I leave the year that they win the national championship. Then I worked for Tampa for 7-8 years. I left, but my last year there was going into my 9th season. So 7 years of abysmal football. We went 365 days without a win at Raymond James Stadium at one point during my tenure there. And our job was to come in every day and convince people that they want to sit at Raymond James uncovered at 1 o'clock in Tampa in September to watch football. So it was tough, but that's the grind. That's the challenge. And then we got Tom Brady. Yeah, we had the opportunity to win that ring. And well, I didn't do anything to help win the ring, but
hey, you put seats and you put butts in the seats. That's what you did. Yeah,
well, the funny part is I put 25% of the butts in seats because it was a limited capacity that year. We ended up selling every seat.
Better than zero. Better than zero.
Now, did you spend time as Bucko Bruce or no?
I did not wear that mascot suit. Once you get into the pros, it's a little different. But no, I did not have to wear that mascot suit. And then everyone was joking when I went to the Panthers and we're making this run and we beat Boston in Game 7 of Round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, statistically the best regular season team in NHL history. We beat them.
Oh, yeah.
Beat Toronto. We beat Carolina. We go into this finals. Everyone's like, Dolan, what are you doing? It's like, I literally had nothing to do with FSU winning a national championship, nothing to do on the field, at least with the Bucks, nothing to do on the field with the Stanley Cup run. However, my services will always go to the highest bidder. So if anybody's listening out there,
hey, it's
back the bus up too.
KDK, Chris Dolan Karma. I mean, that's what we're calling it.
Karma.
Yeah. Back the bus up. Your first year at the Panthers, they got the President's Trophy for the most points in the NHL. So you started with that, and then you moved to the Stanley Cup. So this next year it means Stanley Cup winners. That's what I got.
Yeah, no, we got a good start. We're playing San Jose tonight, so 10:30 start.
That's a dub.
That's a dub.
That's a dub.
before they got that first win, like we're looking at the schedule. I was like, I do not want to play a winless San Jose team. The pressure of playing a winless team, what is it, like 15 games into the year? That's tough. But no, it'll still be fun. So we'll be able to watch it, stay up late tonight, watch some Panthers hockey. And I know, Greg, you're a Devils fan, and DOP, unfortunately, I don't think between the three of us, I don't agree with any of your sports teams. Like all that Northeast stuff is so bad. The Yankees, the Islanders, the Mets.
Haters are gonna hate. That's what I got to say.
We don't agree on a single thing, but
okay. Well, we all agree on the Panthers, right? We're big supporters of the Panthers, so we agree on the Panthers. How about that?
Well, I appreciate that, man. We agree on the Panthers, and we all agree that Notre Dame's overrated. I don't know where that sign came from. It's so weird.
All right.
I don't know.
Looks like it's been there for a while. I got to say, it looks like was it there when you moved in?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Came with the house, right?
I mean, it's not a new thing, so it's probably been there a while.
It's okay.
Yeah,
haters are going to hate, my friend. HGH, not the human hormone. It's haters are going to hate. All the Crocs, my man.
Wow. Yep.
Official home jersey sponsor of your Florida Panthers. So there it is.
Nice, awesome. So
the Crocs. It's good stuff.
You mentioned the Panthers a little bit. I kind of wanted to ask you something because it took me by surprise. We all know Bobrovsky's the main guy in net, and he's done a really good job the last couple of years, even as he's kind of getting up there in age. I mean, I remember when he was on the Flyers, seems like moons ago, and several teams in between. But he's found a nice home with you guys, it looks like. And I really just assumed that Spencer Knight was the third guy, or second guy rather. But I saw the other day that he wasn't the second guy, and it really threw me for a loop because I kind of thought that he was second in command, and it was just a matter of time before he takes over when, Bob, like I said, getting a little up there in age, maybe eventually hangs him up. So, I mean, is that a temporary thing, or do you know if they're keeping him in the minors to keep him fresh and give him playing time, or, I'm not dialed in the way you are. Did I miss something where maybe he's just not playing up to par, and maybe he's not as good as they thought he was going to be?
Yeah, Spencer Knight, man, he's obviously a fan favorite too. Like when you come to a game and they're singing the national anthem, whenever the word Knight comes up, the whole crowd chants it, even when Bob's in between the pipes. But yeah, Bob, I mean, he's getting paid very healthily for his services, and he was the reason I think we got through the postseason the way we did. If you recall too, with Spencer Knight, he had some off ice things that he had to take care of, and he missed the second half of the team with us. And Alex Lyon stepped up, and I think in that last part of the regular season, we back our way into the playoffs because of him just playing great. They started him, if I recall correctly, to start the playoff line, and he stumbled a little bit. They brought in Bob, and Bob just went. Bob's great. Obviously, his record speaks for itself. And then, this isn't official news, tweeting or anything like that, but I do feel like we do have a future with Spencer Knight. But I think right now, the for him to be out in Charlotte with the Checkers right now is more of a let's get you back to where you need to be versus throwing you back in the fire too quick. And we have a luxury where we can wait too. We can wait and let Bob do his thing. We have another back of that in between too, who's come in and done some work as well. But I do see Spencer as a Panther for a very long time. Again, that's not an official tweet. I don't know anything nobody else knows, but
inside story. You heard it here first.
Yeah,
I heard it here first.
Our GM, genius, man. He knows more about hockey than I'll ever understand. So, Bill Zito, whatever he says goes. I'm never going to go against it. So, And also Bill Zito, we found this. So we got a really cool organization where we're flat in the sense that our president, Matt Caldwell, will come down to the sales floor and dap it up with our sales folks. Sean Thornton, former player, he won 2 Stanley Cups with Anaheim and Boston, and he played with the Panthers for a little bit. He's our CRO. He's down on the floor, and GM, our GM, Bill Zito, will come and talk at member events. And he came and talked to the sales floor one day before we went on sale for renewals. And I didn't know this, but he sold tickets for a minor league hockey team before he ever got his start as obviously a GM. Wow. He worked way up there. But so he came down and he was like, I know what you guys are going through. I had to sell tickets for a minor league hockey team back in the day. And we kind of took a step. I was like, wait a second, you're about to fill this. You're the GM of an NHL team. You sold tickets? Really, really, really cool story. So Yeah, I mean, everything he's done. Kachuk too. I mean, you look at when we traded away Huberdeau and we got Kachuk, not everybody, majority of Panther fans were like fan favorite. Like Huberdeau is supposed to be a Panther lifer, and you trust the process. And now Kachuk and Barkov are arguably the best two players that we've ever had playing. Then you just think of that graphic when Kachuk hit the game winner to put us in the Stanley Cup, and getting goosebumps thinking about it. But he's very much a fan favorite now. And there's rumors that Huey might even coming back, and he hasn't really lived up to expectations in Calgary. But in that moment when we trade away Huberdeau, who's a Panthers quote unquote
100-point season too.
Yeah, he wasn't a shabby season. He was coming off that President's Cup trophy.
Yeah,
year.
100-point season for points. Yeah.
Yeah, you trade some. It's I mean, there was
big deal. You don't see that often
in playoffs, but Bill Zito, man.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. So I'm looking at you guys right now. Panthers are sitting at 9-4-1, and it's obviously still pretty early. You guys got a +4 goal differential, pretty standard. Your home record's pretty solid, 6-1. You guys play well in the barn down there, which is great. You got a lot of things going for you. For all the things we talked about, the goaltending's pretty solid. A lot of depth, and get veterans now, and guys like Barkov. If there's one thing you think that they could stand to improve as we head into the middle part of the season here, what's a weakness? Do you guys have one? Is there something that you think they'll be active at the trade deadline to find a missing piece to maybe get you over that final hump and hopefully get a cup?
Yeah, I mean, the good news for us, if you think of any kind of weakness that we do have, for me as a front office employee, like how we overcome objections is one, the record's been great, right? Home, we've got one loss. We're winning at home. We started my first year here with an unbelievable home win streak. And so they definitely play for the fans in South Florida. But we got Montour, who's out, coming back soon. We got our assistant captain, Aaron Ekblad, out too. He's coming back soon. So I think we're only going to get stronger, really. And we talk about depth at goalie too. Like, we've got pretty much 3 people that can do the job. Bob's the main guy, but even you go down with the Spencer Knight and the minor league system in Charlotte, like we got depth at goalie. And I know you've got I've loved your take on goalies, Greg, too, just being spoiled with your childhood, which is one guy for a majority of it. It's such a pivotal role. But I'm going to stay politically correct on this one and how I would talk to my team on the strengths and weaknesses and everything like that. We're a good team, and we're only going to get better when we get healthy.
I like it. I like it. I know you got to do that. I know that's the PC. You played the 5th thing. I get it. I'm just curious. You guys do really have a deep team. Watching them in the final preseason game when we got to hang out a month or 2 ago, just looking at the roster, it was the final game. So pretty much most of the team was playing the starters, and just looking at the guys who were out there, it was evidence to me that it's still it's still a deep team. So I fully expect you guys to have another really solid, really deep run again this year, which is awesome, super exciting. And, someone like yourself, getting involved in hockey and working in it, it's got to be so exciting. So
it is, man. It's the best sport live too. Like I will hands down say that. Like, I'm a diehard football fan, love baseball, but live hockey, there's literally nothing like it. And in South Florida, we're always an afterthought at sometimes in the market, where you got the Heat, you got the Marlins, you got the Dolphins, you got the Panthers there. Messi too kind of elevated the MLS in the market. But again, we're packing the barn every single night. The players love it. But yeah, live hockey is just so good. And again, we're only going to get better. And in Zito, we trust, because trade away Huberdeau, we got better. In the offseason, we trade away fan favorites with Radko Gudas and Anthony Duclair, legends. I love Radko Gudas. The market, love the beard, the good. Oh man. But the pieces that we brought in from Colorado and other places, like we're getting better. And again, it's that on paper, I trust in Bill Zito, and it seems to be working. So I don't want too many people talking about it. I like being under the radar. When you have that President's Trophy title or that label slapped on you, it's tough. But backing into the playoffs and no pressure, that's kind of where I like to be.
I like that too. Not to say that you guys are a Cinderella story, but you're right. Sometimes you get that bullseye on your back, the target's there, the expectations are really high, and it's just easy to fall short of them. It really is, you know.
100%.
So to not have that pressure on you, I think is good. We are all pretty thirsty. I think you still got time to stick around.
I do got one more
and,
question about business
beer
real
review?
quick. I got a question about business real quick, Chris.
Go for it.
So do you see an upkeep in a beneficial of the Florida Live Arena getting sponsored? Like, do you see more avenues for selling? Like that was a curious question that I had. I mean, like I know the benefits of actually having a sponsor on the arena, you're going to get money from them. But other than that, do you see anything bigger with going from Florida Live to, I think it's an insurance company, correct?
Yeah, so we dubbed it FLA Live once the BB&T Center deal had died, and it was pretty much like a month before I started. We inherited the FLA Live Arena name, which was just something that we gave it. It was the name of our app to access tickets, the FLA Live app. And once we got the naming rights for Amerant, it's nice when you drive up. I feel like just having a logo on there too gives a little bit of credibility. I mean, we're in one of the largest markets in the world when you consider like what we broadcast to with Miami-Dade and West Palm. Miami-Dade, Broward, and West Palm Beach. We have such a large TV market. So Amerant Bank Arena, being a local branch, a lot of people, when I say Amerant Bank, like, what is? I've never heard of it. And so
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's
why
all I
we're
am too.
spending money to put their name on an NHL arena. But we get world-class shows. We just announced Drake. We got Drake coming through here
Wow.
pretty soon. We got Pink at the arena tomorrow night. So from an event standpoint, we got big acts. From a hockey standpoint, we hosted the NHL All-Star Game last year. We hosted obviously the NHL Stanley Cup Final was here. So we've elevated ourselves where Amerant, I think, is going to get a ton of value. There's the bottom line that helps with the revenue and the deal there, but I think just having the credibility for us to be able to have that naming partner, for Amerant Bank to partner with a venue such as ours that provides world-class entertainment, one of the largest markets in the country. It's definitely mutually beneficial. And that's more on the partnership side too. So I don't know too much of the inner workings behind that deal, but I've only heard good things. And before they got the naming rights to the arena, they named one of our more high-end, all-inclusive clubs that are center ice behind the benches. It was called the Amerant Vault. It was Lounge 954.
Oh, cool.
Again, a name that we didn't get revenue for. It was Lounge 954 after our area code down here. And we weren't making revenue off that name. Amerant came in and said, let's call it the Amerant Vault. So you walk in and there's like a bank vault door that you walk past, the Panther claw scratched through it. You walk in, and now on the TV side, you see the seats, and above the seats, it's the Amerant Vault right there. So they already had that. Now they named the arena. So they're putting their stamp on one of the best venues in the country, in my opinion.
That's awesome. Very cool. I'm just really curious of that. Very cool.
Yeah, awesome insight. So we're going to take a short time out. When we come back, we got some live beer reviews. Our guest, Chris Dolan's going to join us. I think he's got a beer to taste as well and give his honest review, but we're going to take a short time out, and we'll be back in a moment.
Yes, sir.
We can park this old Chevy on the side of the road, start a party underneath the stars. It's always beer drinking weather out here. We get it pouring like a storm out here. No, there ain't nothing better whenever we're together. It's beer drinking weather out here. Grab a cold can, a keg, or a long neck bottle. Top it on, I'll drink it down to the bottom. 24/7 every day, all year. It's beer drinking weather out here. I've had a large mouth pass, bust my line, a couple beautiful girls tell me goodbye. Trucks break down, dogs run off, politicians lie, been fired by the boss. It takes one hand to count the things I can count on. No, there ain't much man that ain't ever let me down. Long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart. Like diamond rings and football teams have torn this boy apart. Like a neon dream, it just don't know me. The bars in this guitar. And long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart.
Man, what a
recovery, sir.
song.
Nice recovery. Nice
What a
recovery.
song. Well, you know, we had a little bit of an extended break, so we had an opportunity to play both songs. But
Nice
Chris,
excuse.
has
Nice
a long
excuse.
neck ice cold beer ever let you down? Because it's never let me down.
Never let me
Batting
down
a
either.
thousand. They're batting 1,000.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. So this is a weekly thing, as you know. Dan and I are working our way through a number of beers now and giving our honest opinions, our honest ratings. I've had a couple off the wall beers and kind of going off the grid, but it's been a lot of fun. And I know you got something with you as well. So Dan, unless you got any objections, I want the guest of honor to
Yeah,
show us.
I was
what
going to
he
say the
brought to
exact same
table.
thing, my friend. I was
Oh,
going to say the
man,
exact same thing.
we all know what the people want. They want to see Greg pour a beer and struggle with it. That's what the people want.
They do.
There's
No,
a
they
good
do.
chance that you'll get that. I mean, if you want me to go first, I'll go first.
Rock, paper, scissors. No, yeah, you guys. I'm the guest. You guys do your thing, man. I'm just honored to be here.
Okay.
So,
You got a beer though
Oh.
for us, right?
oh, I do.
He's
Okay,
got a
yeah.
beer. I'll go first. I'll
In a
take the
glass.
press, and I'll
Good. Here we go.
I'll show you guys what I got. And there's usually, as I said last week, there's a purpose here, and I'll try to hold it up so you both can see this can. It's pretty.
Oh, we've been there,
decorative.
Christopher.
I know exactly where that's from.
Okay,
We've been
I
there.
thought you might.
We both have been there millions of times, Christopher. It's a great
This
place.
is, then this
Millions
is
of
even
times.
better than I thought, because now you guys might have an opinion as well if you remember. So walking through, this is again a Total Wine special. The can stuck out to me. Bears on a Rampage is the name, and as the artwork shows, there's a whole lot going on this can. There's bears going nuts, there's berries and fruit and all this stuff. And I
Hidden
look at the
Springs.
ingredients. It says sour ale with strawberries, blueberries, honey, and vanilla. I mean, this thing
Oh, it's
sounds
delicious.
like a smorgasbord in a can. So I'm really interested to try
good.
it. My expectations, to be honest, are a little low given what's on the label and what it says is inside. But it is from Tampa, Florida. And when I saw that, I kind of figured you
Hidden
guys
Springs.
may have been there. Yep, exactly. Brewed and canned at Hidden Springs Ale Works. And
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
yes.
it's a sour ale. So Chris, I don't know if you like those, but I'm usually a fan. This one's 5.5%. So we'll give it a whirl here. Dan, see if you can hear this noise. Your favorite
Oh, there
sound.
she is. There she
And,
is.
We'll see. This is going to be a doozy, Chris. I'm sure you've seen my cup before. You see the logo. Eventually, I'm going to have to retire this bad boy. I keep saying that, and they keep disappointing me week to week, but I keep bringing it out. So, Chris, you ready? You ready?
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Holy
45
moly.
degree angle.
Okay.
Pouring the beer. Pouring the
Oh,
beer.
boy.
No pressure.
boy.
Don't mess up.
Oh boy,
Oh,
that's
it's a
not
good pour.
going to be
It's a
good.
good pour. It's a good pour, Danny.
Oh,
It's a good pour.
famous last words.
Oh,
Oh,
look at
boy.
that color. Look at that color. Look at that.
How about
I
you
think
fit
it's
the whole?
possible to get a lot of head showing from a sour beer too. So he went the safe route.
Look at that.
Oh,
Okay.
That's a gold. That's an amber color.
What kind of notes we got?
It doesn't smell as sour as I would have thought it would, but I don't know. Let me give it a taste. Sour. It doesn't smell like it, but it tastes like it. But
Is it good, bad, indifferent?
It is good. It's not bad. It doesn't leave you with that shiver that you might expect if you're not a sour fan. It's not making you pucker too much. Let me give it another one.
Okay.
It's refreshing. I'll tell you that. It is refreshing. You can definitely taste all the berries that are on the can, strawberries, blueberries. I don't really taste the vanilla that much. The honey is a little bit there, but this is actually pleasantly surprising. Like I said, my expectations were low. I'm a sour fan, and for this, I think I got to give this a pretty strong rating. I'm going to give this
All
a
right.
flat 8. Flat 8, 8.0
Why?
on the scale.
Why?
Yeah, it's a solid
Okay.
beer. I mean, it doesn't wow me, but it's better than some of the others I've tried. That's for damn sure. This one's
Oh, we know
it's
that.
an 8 in my book. Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
and Greg, you
All
said
right, you
you
want me to
like
go now?
you like sours?
I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, they might not be the first one I'd go for. I'm a lager guy, a wheat beer kind of guy. But I mix in sours. I stay away from the porters, the stouts, some of the beers like that. But as Dan knows, I mean, I'll drink anything. And that's really the point of this, I mean, whether it's wine, we do hard liquor and stuff. And when it comes to beer, I don't discriminate. I'll try anything at least once. And you never know, it might make a fan out of me. So.
Man, that's awesome. And Hidden Springs, man, I call them like the gateway sours because like I wasn't a big sour fan, and then living in Tampa, they add like lactose to their sours,
Yep.
and like say refreshing, man. In Florida, it's hard to do those heavier beers, but no, good play, man. Good score.
Yeah,
too.
it stuck out to me. So is that what they're known for? Just mostly sours?
Yeah, that's their. I would say that's their staple is like the sours, and
Okay.
then specifically the sours with lactose in there. That's they've done other. They have like IPAs and they've done some dark beers too. But me personally, when I think Hidden Springs, I think of sours.
Mm-hmm.
So do I.
Awesome. That's great. I can't believe you guys have actually been there. And do you remember
Oh,
if
yeah.
you've tried this? Does it ring a bell?
I think I have.
Yeah, I think that's one of their staples. So I believe
Yeah.
I've had that one.
Awesome.
Peanut butter and jelly one
All
I
right.
have too, which is really good too. Remember that one? Yeah.
Who's
All right,
up?
Chris.
Who's up next?
This one's gonna be.
Dan?
This is for you, Chris. So if you can see it, this is called Hey You, and it's from a brewery in Hialeah, Florida, and it is King Fox Brewery. I don't know if you ever heard of that one, Christopher,
Man,
but it's a IPA, 7.8%, and I got it because I was at the store tonight and I saw Hialeah, Florida, and I said, "Oh, we got a South Florida boy on. Let's do a little South Florida beers." So
represent.
you boys want to take some notes? Here you go. Watch and learn.
New brewery to try next
Pretty good.
time you come down.
Don't got to tell me twice, buddy.
I would love
Oh,
if you
yeah.
dropped the glass right now. That would be
Wouldn't that be the best? Wouldn't that be the best? Look at that. That's how you pour a full can into a cup. So, looks nice and hazy, nice and blonde. Very hoppy, very citrusy. Let's give her a taste. Wow. Wow, that's good. So it's fruity and citrusy and hoppy at the same time. I don't know if you know those notes, Chris, by drinking a lot of IPAs, but it's a typical IPA. Very, very tasty. I'm going to go 8.2.
wow. What was
Yeah,
the ABV on it?
7.8.
Nice, man. That's a healthy IPA.
Yes. King Fox Brewery in Hialeah, Florida. So what is that, about 30 from you, Chris?
Yeah. I feel like everything's within 30 minutes of me in South Florida, man. West Palm,
Well, St.
30
Augustine's not. St.
Downtown
Augustine's
Miami,
not.
30 minutes. Well, when St. Augustine's in South Florida, it'll be 30 minutes away.
It's called St. Augustine South. That's what I call it.
St. Augustine South.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buddy.
All right, well, here, I got to switch up the hats now because we got to go from the Marlins representing my NL Manager of the Year, Ships.
Yeah. I don't want to talk
Schumacher
about
right
that
here.
hat. There's a backstory on that hat. I don't want to talk about it.
We'll be nice. We'll talk about it. It's representing the NL Manager of the Year. I don't know if
You
you
know
guys
the
talked about
backstory.
that earlier, but
You know the backstory.
and then going with the team out of the Pacific Northwest, the Hillsboro Hops for the
Wow.
beer segment.
Nice.
Nice.
Fitting character here. I'm going with a little beer here called Kitty Kibble out of, in my opinion, the best brewery in South Florida, Yeasty Brews in Lauderhill.
Yeasty.
Really, really good. Good people. Danny and Danielle, the owners there. Go in next. Anybody who's ever in South Florida looking for a good brewery, Yeasty Brews, can't say enough good things. And they do off the wall type of flavors, and it's all handcrafted. It's all brewed right there. And Danny knows his stuff, man. So this is a variation off of a beer he's called Cookie Monster, and this is the Halloween series for this year. Kitty Kibble type of beer. A cookie-inspired blue stout.
Jeez Louise.
So I figured like we guys do the pour. Oh, great sound.
It's a
A
great
blue
sound.
stout. So
Let's see your pour. I hope you screw it up too.
that's not very nice.
Well, you play with fire, you get burnt, my friend.
Dan, wouldn't it be hilarious if he dropped the glass right now?
Oh, man. And it's his wife's computer too. That'd be even funnier.
Good pour. Good pour.
I don't know if you
All
can,
right.
is it coming up blue for you? I mean,
It
It looks purplish.
looks
Purplish.
purple here. It looks blue. I don't know how to see.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. So
That is really cool.
let's see. Can we put the? No, that's not really going to help. Anyways, I'm not a scientist. It's a blue beer. Yeah, I mean, you smell like that, the pastry and like the kind of malt coming through.
What's the ABV on that one?
Let's see. Almost got a sip in. We got 6%. So
Holy
with
moly.
a stout, imagine this being a little bit more filling, cookie-inspired stout. And the blue, he was talking, it's like a spirulina, so it's just an additive to make it that blue color. This is, man, I wish it was coming through in the camera. It's just, but here we go.
Yeah.
That's good, man. It's a stout. It's a little bit more full than like a Pilsner or a lager or anything, but it's not super heavy. This would be a stout that I think Greg could handle here. It's not
You
and
think?
also you see
Does
some,
he got to
some
put big boy
brewers
pants
do,
on
like,
or what?
huh?
Does he got to put big boy pants on or can he handle it?
Coming in Florida too, it's so hard to have those heavy beers. But this is good. And I've seen breweries do a white stout as well. And imagine this being a very, very similar base to like a white stout, so it's a little bit lighter. The blue thing is tripping me out, but yeah, it's got that pastry, a little bit of a cocoa flavor in there too. So this is good, man. I mean,
Very cool.
I don't have a frame of reference on my past beers on how to build it up, but I mean, I feel like you were 8.2 on yours, DOB?
Yes, sir.
Man, and an 8?
Yeah, we like you said, it sometimes you have to build a scale and you have to have a little context, but in your head, I mean, I guess I would ask you, is it a beer you would get again?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's how we
man.
always do it.
This
That's
wouldn't
how
be
we
one
always-
that I can crush. I probably couldn't have a whole 6-pack of this, but if I'm at Yeasty or you guys are down here, we're watching a game, pull out some the kitty kibble here in the artwork too on the can. I just love the little X-ray kitty for the Halloween series.
Mhm.
It's great, man.
Oh,
but
it's so cool.
you know,
Yeah, he
one
does a
sip,
good
everyone
job.
knows
I love
the-
that brewery. That's a great brewery, by the way. I've been there, Greg. It's a great place. Dan's a cool
gonna
dude
go-
too.
I'm gonna go 8.5. I'm gonna go high.
8.5.
All right.
Okay.
Aim high.
Okay.
Okay. I
And
like
where
it.
else are you gonna get a cookie-inspired blue stout?
I like
Just the
that.
creativity alone gives it an extra
Yeah.
half a point.
I do like that. You get points for uniqueness, certainly. And that's the thing. Dan and I should have prepped you a little bit. We have our own criteria. We don't, we have our own scales in our heads. But I personally give high remarks, even for the art on the can. It's something that'll
Yeah.
draw you in. We give props for
Yeah, I mean, like, this is
aroma
pretty cool.
and
The Hey You
creativity.
is really cool.
Yeah.
You guys can kind of see the Hey You.
Yep.
It's kind of cool. But going off of what Chris said, that brewery, when I was down there, I had a habanero seltzer, and it was just delicious. And you wouldn't think a habanero seltzer is good, but that thing was delicious. So, Yeasty is doing some good stuff.
Also part of their Halloween series, they had, I believe it was called Pink Lady. It was a 10% margarita seltzer with, I want to say it was like dragon fruit, strawberry, little Himalayan sea salt. But you're drinking this thing just like you would a sour, Greg, and it's 10%. Wow. But you don't taste it. And he's onto something with these flavors. And I feel like Funky Buddha, everyone knows that as a big name down here, as a big name brewery. And I feel like he's, when you get bigger, there's, in my opinion, quality is a trade-off for producing in bulk. But I feel like Danny and Yeasty Brews is coming in and like filling that void for people that just love off the wall flavors. But all right, next Panther game, we got tickets to a game and a trip to Yeasty Brews mandatory. So we already got things on the agenda.
I like it.
Tell me when.
I like that idea better. I was going to say, we can do both, but I was going to say we're going to bring you back on the show a second time, and we're going to have you for a beer so that you will have the frame of reference next time. You set the bar very, very high with this 8.5. So the next beer, it's going to be
our obligatory cheers. We got to hit it real quick.
Yes, we do always do a cheers. So Chris, thanks for joining us. It's been great.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chris.
And we're not quite done yet. You still got time to stick around with us?
Yeah, I heard we had to rank our top 5 venues in the world. So
yeah,
I don't want to take too much of
it.
You guys have already been awesome, man. So let's do this, and I got to hear you guys with your hot takes later on too. So
let's get right into it, and then we'll let you go. We're doing something we haven't done before. We thought it'd be fun to do with you. Top 5 sporting venues that we've personally been to. Again, same like our beer reviews. The scale is your own. However you want to judge it, however you want to rank it, it's yours. Nobody can tell you otherwise. But I've been to a handful different leagues, mostly in this country. I know, Chris, I think you've been to some that maybe are even abroad, which is awesome. But we're just going to dive right in, keep it simple. Top 5 best sporting venues that we've personally been to live, and I think it'd be good to go. Well, honorable mention. We'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for each of us. So we'll start with 5. We'll all give our 5th. Then we'll all go our 4th, and we'll go all the way down to 1. So, Dan, you want to lead us off. Tell us number 5 on your list. Tell us a little bit why. Then I'll give mine, and Chris will give his.
Sure. So I've been to a bunch, and this is not number 5, but it's number 5 out of just top 5 in general out of like 100. So I'm going to go Camden Yards, and where the Baltimore Orioles play, just because I love that stadium with the red brick and the warehouse and the surrounding area. I mean, you can go there and you go to Utah Street. You can sit in left field and get a home run ball and do batting practice, and just a really awesome stadium. I think it was built in 1992, and we're in 2023. So it's 21 years old, and it still looks like it was built yesterday. And it's just one of my favorite ballparks to go to. But like I said, we're top 5 out of top 100. So it's not really last on the list, but it's last on the list for this one. So, I wanted to start off there.
I like it. That's strong. Camden Yards is it's been on my list for a long, long time. I
only get stronger from there, my man.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's hard to beat. So I'm going number 5 on my list is a little bit out there, and it's probably a little biased because it's fresh in my mind. But Dan, this might mean something to you. We're going all sports here, all levels. Number 5 on my list is one that opened just a year or two ago. It's Cool Today Park down in Venice, Florida, where the Atlanta Braves do spring training. And it's on my list for a couple reasons. It's a brand new park, so everything is nice, everything is clean. But even though it's brand new, they kind of built it and modeled it, to your point, Dan, to make it look almost like an older stadium. So it had those unique qualities and characteristics of an old ball field, but still the niceness where it was in a nice part of town. It was easy to get to. So I really enjoyed it. We went there this past year. Almost a year ago, back in March, and just had a great time. So looking forward to going again at some point. But that's number 5 on my list.
Beers are cold too. Beers were cold.
What do you got, Chris?
So I asked DOB, I was like, man, so can we do stadiums that aren't around anymore? He's like, there's no rules. Yeah. So I crossed out the one that I had, and I replaced it with. Well, first off, let me just start by saying Amerant Bank Arena by default is 5-1. It's the best place in the world to watch any sporting event. But
Look
I'm
at this
super
guy.
biased, so
Look
I will
at this
leave
guy. Look at
the
this
home of the
guy.
Florida Panthers out of the top 5. I don't want to show too much bias, but I put the old Miami Orange Bowl Stadium in Miami, Little Havana. It's I grew up season ticket holder with my buddies Big Jeff and his dad and his brother.
Jeff.
We would always go through middle school into high school. We went to these Hurricane games. We saw Clinton Portis,
Pork
Jeremy
restaurant,
Shaw,
don't forget.
Kellen Winslow, national championship teams. We just saw the greatest of the greats play, and there was something about this rickety old stadium in the middle of this middle of Little Havana. You parked. We had a
Pork restaurant.
What is it?
Pork restaurant.
Pork restaurant. Yeah, there's a place, Papo Llega y Pan. You get a pan con lechon, which is a pork sandwich. That's all they pretty much serve. You risk your life almost. It looks like you're risking life going into this little hole in the wall. It's the best sandwich ever. You continue the trek. And just like the surrounding areas, we used to give I was in middle school, so I just remember my buddy's dad giving his keys to the little abuela that owned the house, and she would just move cars as she needed to fit like 15 cars in this one driveway. And oh man, just I can smell just like the tailgate and everything. But Miami Orange Bowl Stadium, the history that's happened there is definitely something I want to put in my top 5.
Love it.
Very cool.
Love it. That's awesome. All right, Dan, let's go round 4. What do you got?
You're going to love this one. It's close to your heart, Grossy, and we talked about it last week. Citi Field, where the Mets play. I went there 2 years ago. As Chris knows, a friend of ours, Mike, we saw a no-hitter there live, and what an accomplishment to see it live. And one of the coolest things about that stadium is, as you know, Grossy, you're walking center field, and it's a whole marketplace. It's a whole, like, food court, food area. But one of the coolest things that Citi Field has is behind the center field scoreboard, they have the old scoreboard from Shea Stadium. And growing up, my dad, I think I put it on our website, my dad was a usher at Yankee Stadium and Shea Stadium. So seeing the old school Shea Stadium things that they incorporated into the new Citi Field, it really brought me back to my childhood growing up in New York. And also another thing that I noticed is the emblems on the scoreboard, like on the tickers around the field, they have the old school figurines. I don't know if you noticed that, Greg, when you went there, but the old school figurines on the outside of Shea Stadium are there for like the pitcher and the hitter. So it's a really, really cool stadium, and I enjoyed myself there. And I obviously saw no hitter. So that's my number 4.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can relate. I've been there a couple times. I was sad to see the old Shea go, even though it was time. It was
me
kind
too.
of a dump. But I do like the construction of the new stadium. I almost put it in my top 5. It didn't quite make it, but for me, but it was up there. I do like how they kept the apple, I think, is outside the stadium.
Yeah, the apple too. Yep.
It's cool that they held on to some of that stuff. So number 4 on my list, you guys are going to laugh, but I went minor league ball again. And there's something about minor league ball.
Maybe
it's a little nostalgic for me. You know what? It's not Lecom Park, actually, even though that's a fantastic stadium I've been to many, many times. I actually I guess it's called Baycare Ballpark now, but it's Clearwater Threshers up in Clearwater, North Tampa area.
Great
and
call.
I like that venue a lot for a lot of the
Tiki
same
bar.
reasons. Easy to
Tiki
get
bar.
to. The Tiki Bar is second to none. I mean, it wraps around the entire field. You can go out there in center field, have a good time. You walk around the entire park. You can actually sit. They have like a berm in the outfield almost, or behind the wall where you can actually set up some chairs. You can get close access to the players warming up in the bullpen. It's an all around great venue. And maybe I'm a sucker for those, but I really, really enjoyed my time there. So that's number 4 on my list.
Great call. We used to live in Rocky Point, a little island in Tampa, like basically the last part of Tampa you hit on Courtney Campbell Causeway before you drive to Clearwater. And when the Threshers played there for minor leagues, we went, and it was $2 Tuesdays, and you would get $2 tickets, $2 hot dogs, $2 beers. Oh man, great call, Greg. Yeah, Frenchies in the Tiki Bar in
Frenchies.
Great. Dang. Good call. I went number 4. Truist Park, also known as the TP, where home of the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta. And this kills me because I'm a Marlins fan. It kills me to give any credit to any team in the NL East. But
you have a backstory in that stadium too, by the way, for your birthday, my friend.
Yeah. So real quick, the area around, we'll get to that. Or the area around Truist Park, it's called the Battery. Emphasis on bat, baseball, play on names, whatever. Really, really cool spot where they got living, they have apartments, they have restaurants, they got bars, they got breweries, everything in this walkable city. And then, there's also a ballpark there. They have Terrapin Brewing inside this Battery area where you can go before the game, grab a beer, and they actually it's connected to the ballpark where once you grab your beer, you can buy it at the brewery and then walk straight through security, scan your ticket, and bring the beer right into the ballpark there from Terrapin Brewing. And then during COVID, two-time World Series champions, Miami Marlins, formerly known as Florida Marlins, played during COVID on my birthday weekend in September, where nobody was able to go to baseball games. They all had the cutouts and everything. And the Omni Hotel they have in right center field there overlooks the field. So my wife and I went and we got a room for 2 nights in a field where you basically wake up, you walk out of your bed, and you have a balcony that overlooks into a ballpark. So we did that for 2 nights, caught 2 Marlin games. One was a historic blowout. I want to say 24-3. The other game, the Marlins won. And so you get the best of both worlds, but just really, really cool, man. Just being able to see a legitimate city surrounding a ballpark in a modern era too, versus some of these historic ballparks, which might be on our list here. But Truist Park, the TP, and DOB surprised us with some beers that day. Just all of a sudden, you got a knock on the door. We're watching a ball game during COVID in person on our balcony. Oh, you have a delivery for a 6-pack. Oh, this is great. Yeah, you bring your own liquor, you bring food, whatever you want. And we had some family and stuff from Atlanta come over. It was a good time. Truist Park. Next time the Mets are in town, Greg, highly recommend making that trip.
That's awesome. I got some.
You've been there, Rosie, right?
I have. I got some thoughts on that. So
nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Wait, Pete, he hasn't been. You're the only one that hasn't been, man. You got to step it up.
That's okay. Hey, I'm not worried about it. We'll be there.
I invited him. The Mets were playing, and he just turned me down. So it's that rejection thing. I get it from all angles.
That's okay. I was hanging out with Chris down in South Florida. It happens.
Okay, then that makes sense.
So number 3, beginning of the show. I don't know if you caught it, Chris, but I know Greg, you did. On my hat, the Colorado Rockies. So number 3 for me is Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. And the reason why I picked this one 2 years ago, I went to a game in September. Probably hands down the best weather ever for a day game, 1 o'clock game, 80 degrees, no humidity, nice wind. I mean, you walk into Coors Field. Outside of Coors Field, they have something similar to the Battery, as you were mentioning, Chris, with Truist Field. And they have open air bars, restaurants, a whole little pavilion with a big screen where you can watch the Rockies game if you'd like. And we sat on third base line about 15 rows up. And if you look right across from me, they have actually a rooftop bar seating area for like $10. So it's just a great ballpark. The weather in September is just hands down the best. And just being able to go to that game and being able to see it. They have the same kind of red brick as I mentioned with Camden Yards. So it's a very great ballpark and very nice fans. One of the coolest things about the ballpark is the stadium, the scoreboard. It's actually an outline of the Rockies, like their logo. So it's really cool how they did that. And like that'd be number 3. So
nice. I like it. I'm jealous. I'd like to make it out there for a game at some point because
we'll go next year.
Great atmosphere. Next year we could plan that. That sounds awesome.
I ain't scared.
Number 3 on my list, kind of a homer pick, but I really do think it's fair. And given my explanation, you guys, I don't know, maybe we'll agree, maybe not. But I went Emily Arena, and Chris, I don't know if you know, but I was actually there just 2-3 days ago. Saturday. I went to the game on Saturday. Unfortunately, Lightning came out on the wrong side. They looked pretty bad. But to be honest, as bad as they looked, getting shut out, I haven't seen that in a long time from them. But despite how bad they were, I had a phenomenal time. And a lot of it had to do with the arena and trying to be unbiased. I've gone to millions and millions of games there. But being there this past weekend and going through this list made me realize that their arena really does check a lot of boxes. I don't think fans in this area, maybe that were born here and haven't been to a lot of stadiums, know how fortunate they are to have the venue they have, the team they have, and really the owner they have. I know you're really familiar with the area, Chris, and I had a chance to go to Sparkman Wharf, the area that they're developing right around the arena, which just continues to get, better and better. It's so lively. There's a lot of great venues for food, for drinks, for music and entertainment. I don't know why Ferg's did not last across the arena, but they are actually putting a Yard House there that's set to open up in just a couple weeks. And Yard House is a great atmosphere, a great place to go before the game or after. And those are the kind of things I factor into the rating scale. But then when you go inside the arena, and it really starts from outside when they got the lightning bolt outside, which is just such a fixture and a staple. But then even inside, there's no bad seat in the building. Prices are what they are. They're right in line with every other venue. But to do the Tesla lightning bolts that they have in the ceiling a few years back was amazing and genius. And then the takeout seats in the upper deck and the behind the net, which is losing money from an owner, and it's pretty unheard of. But to take that out and put the Coors Light deck and a giant organ is just awesome. I mean, the experience in that stadium, I think, is second to none. There's not a bad seat in the building.
That scoreboard is really cool too.
To the owner. Yeah, the scoreboard is fantastic.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a testament to the owner and the money he's put into that building to keep it renovated and to keep it fresh and to keep people coming back. And that's something I really, really appreciate. So not trying to be a homer pick, but I had to be fair and put it up there as number 3 on my list.
Good call, man. Good call. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the scoreboard too. We have Water Street too down there. They have a really, really good setup, man.
It's all coming up.
My turn? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got? Number 3.
I'm going international across the pond for Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, third largest soccer stadium in England, $1.3 billion to build. This thing was massive. I went there in 2019 for the London games, Bucks versus Panthers. And there's something to be said about like taking the tube from the city center of London out, maybe a half hour, getting off and just walking through these old neighborhoods where the houses to the left and the right are over probably 100 years old. You don't see the stadium yet, but you see people in jerseys and you see bars wrapped in Tottenham Hotspur stuff, and then temporarily in some Bucks and Panthers gear. And then you turn this corner and you just see this like monstrosity of an arena, or of a stadium rather, in this old timey London suburb. And it's really special, man. And the atmosphere there too, if you guys anybody's ever looking at going to an international game, highly recommend it, because you see every jersey represented. It was a Bucks home game on paper. We played the Panthers, but I think Bucks and Panthers fans made about 50% of the crowd. Everybody else was Patriots, Chiefs, Packers, everything. And just talking to the locals too, that just like crave NFL football, that are born and raised in London. I wouldn't be shocked if the NFL plants a team out there eventually, or 2 teams to balance things out. But what was cool there when we were talking, they made a big point, the people that were sitting by, making a big point of being able to bring a beer from the concession stands into the stands, because for the English Premier League, you can't consume alcohol in view of the pitch. So
Really?
they make these concourses massive so that when people want beer and like they're in in halftime and things like that, they just go, they get their pints in the concourse and they just they congregate there. But for the NFL, they waive that rule, but they have a brewery in the stadium. And yeah, so brewery on site, and they just did so many things at a high level there that it was just beautiful. And if you guys ever look at the video too, where they basically have the soccer pitch get folded within itself, the NFL field kind of folds out. It's incredible, man. So Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, number 3 for me.
Awesome.
Very cool. I'm going to catch some heat on these last 2, because these last 2 hit home. And I'm going to hear some shit from you, Christopher, and maybe Greg on the first one. But you turn around and rip that sign off so I can talk about my number 2.
Oh, touchdown Jesus is about to be said. I think we just need to skip it.
So we're going Notre Dame Stadium, obviously. And this one hits hard. It hits home. We've been talking about college football all 7 episodes. We haven't touched yet 8, but I mean, going to touchdown Jesus, last name being O'Brien. I mean, Irish Catholics all around. You go to that stadium and just holy moly, go in there. You walk up, you go through the whole campus, you go see the actual Golden Dome, and that's why their helmets. I don't know if you know this, Chris or Greg. The reason why their helmets are gold is because they have a Golden Dome, and they call them the Golden Domers. So that's why their helmets are gold. and then you just walk through campus. You line up, and you hear the band come in, and they say, "Here come the Irish," just yelling and screaming. They have a whole band they call the Irish Walk, and the players just walk right through, go into the stadium. You look up, you see golden print Notre Dame Stadium. You get in the stadium, you look to your left, and you see my boy Touchdown Jesus. I mean, what else is that? Just making it happen. So
You skip
what
a
an
step
experience.
walkout. They got to slap something before they walk out too.
Well, I was just there. Just take it the freak easy, okay? I'm talking before the game starts. You go out there and you look to the left and you see Touchdown Jesus. And then you get this girl that says, "Here come the Irish." And then the guys walk down and they go, "Play like a champ today. Play like a champ today." And that's what we do. And we always do it. And just a really cool experience going to Notre Dame Stadium. When I went there, we obviously did not win, but that's here nor there. And that's for another episode. But just going there and experiencing Notre Dame football from alive, it was one of the coolest experiences in the world. And Notre Dame Stadium is something not to be messed with. So you guys can hate all day on it, but Notre Dame Stadium is something else.
I'll take up for you, Dan. I can respect that. Being a diehard fan as you are, and just the history of that stadium, I get it. I respect the pick, and that kind of leads into my second one. I don't have an allegiance to them, but it's the history. It's being in all of the traditions, and this is going to hurt you a little bit. But number 2 on my list is Fenway Park.
Freaking Park. Jesus.
I went there.
Oh,
I went there almost 2 years ago, year and a half or so, with my cousin, and it was a sight to see. I was blessed to see a ballpark like that's been around for 100 years, whatever it is, and that it's still there, and seeing all the history. We sat in the outfield. We got to experience a home run over the Green Monster live and in person, which was awesome. But just I was really in awe of the history, all the memories that have taken place there. The stadium and the surroundings were awesome too. We walked actually probably a good half hour through the city, and like you said, Chris, there was old historic buildings that were probably easily millions of dollars and upwards. Brownstone buildings lining the streets that we walked past on our way to the stadium. Afterwards, on our way out, we were able to hit some bars. So the area around in Boston was great, and the stadium itself didn't really disappoint. So I know it hurts you, Dan, a little bit, but I got to give props to the stadium and the traditions. And
I'm just glad you didn't play Sweet Caroline song, because we'd get banned from YouTube. So I'm glad you didn't play that song.
Along for you. I didn't sing along for you. So
thank you.
What you got, Chris? I'm excited to hear your second one after Tottenham now.
Yeah, man. So number 2, kind of playing off the historic baseball stadiums. You went with the oldest ballpark in the MLB there, Greg, with Fenway, built in 1912, the same year the Titanic sank. Think about that. Fenway Park opened up. And then a couple years after that, Wrigley Field in Chicago, North Side. It's amazing. And I'll skip ahead a little bit here. I have Fenway Park as my honorable mention because, like, for historic stadiums, it's 1A, 1B. And I was just too young. I need to go as an adult to Fenway, but gone to Wrigley a few times, and it's amazing, man. I mean, just the city or an area that just shuts down and is a baseball town. Like, you have Chicago, and then you got to take, I believe, the Red Line into Wrigleyville. And you get out and, like, it's just a baseball city. Like, there's nothing else in that area. You live, eat, breathe baseball. You walk up, you walk up, you see the signs, you see the rooftop buildings, you see the brick, the old buildings, the history of the bars, the people, the vendors, everything. And then the game itself, and you got the ivy on the walls, and the history of just the Wrigley Company coming in, and I mean, just dating back to like World War II, and just what it meant for players. And you think of league of their own, and the Women's Baseball League, and everything that came through Wrigley. It's just so much history, passionate fan base. I had gone before they won the World Series, and I had gone after they won the World Series. So seeing, and they just love baseball, man. And I think really that's where it comes down. You have a historic stadium, and you have a fan base that just loves baseball as much as Cubs fans do. Wrigley Field, number 2.
Nice.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna go number 1. I'm gonna do my honorable mention as well, and then you guys can do the same. So number 1, you guys probably can guess what number 1 is. I just did this a couple months ago. I went to Yankee Stadium, and just going to Yankee Stadium, going through the Bronx, going to 161, going with our friend Mike, Chris. I mean, he he's a diehard Yankee just like me, so he knows the ins and outs. We, walk up there, get to the stadium. Game starts at 7. Get to the stadium at 5, and you have to go to Monument Park. So you go to Monument Park. There's a long line. Go down to Monument Park, and you just see all these monuments. It's one of the coolest things any baseball fan should really experience, just seeing all these monuments for all these amazing players. I don't care if you're a Yankee hater, a Yankee lover, just a baseball fan in general. It was super cool just to walk up, and I mean, all these fans have touched it. They touch it when they get their monument, and so it's really cool just to walk around. You see everything that's going on, and then after that, you go up and they have a baseball Hall of Fame where they have every baseball ever played by the Yankees has been signed. So you can walk up and you'll see Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, all the old schools. And it's really funny because Mike, who Chris, he mentioned to me, he said, I came here a couple months ago and I tried to stump one of these guys and I couldn't stump him. And I'm like, watch and learn, my friend. So I go up there and I say, do you have a baseball signed by Sal Fasano? And they do the little keyboard. No, Sal Fasano. And I said, that's right. He played catcher, Sal Fasano. So I was able to stump the Hall of Fame Yankee boys, Yankee Stadium guys. I mean, just super cool. And then walking around that baseball Hall of Fame, you can see all the memorabilia the Yankees have had. I mean, they have my dad is a huge Roger Maris fan, so we FaceTime with Big Mike, and he watched Roger Maris. He saw his uniform, his bat, his baseball. I mean, what he wore when he hit 61, and that was like his favorite number is 9 till this day because of Roger Maris. So it was super cool just to live in the history and see that history and actually see the stadium, actually see the uniform, see the ball, see the bat. Just really, really, really cool stuff. And, it's just a great stadium they did. And my honorable mention with you, Chris, is Wrigley Field. So me and Chris didn't really know each other, but technically me and Chris, we crossed paths that weekend because it was the weekend I went to Notre Dame, and I believe he went on a Saturday and I went on a Friday, or maybe a Sunday or a Friday. You can probably intervene, Chris, but we were in the same area and we didn't really know each other, but it's kind of funny. Just, we were in the same spot, and 15 years later, we're really good friends. And just going off what you said about Wrigleyville, it's to give you an explanation, Greg, it's Fergs on steroids times a million. I mean, you go there, you go for one, right, Chris? I mean, Fergs on steroids times a million. You go there. Yeah, I mean, you go there and a 1 o'clock game, you get there at 9:30, and you go to Wrigleyville, you go to Murph's, you go to all these bars, and you're just drinking beers at 10 o'clock in the morning, and everybody's drinking beers at 10 o'clock in the morning. They don't care what the heck's going on. And it's just really cool atmosphere, really cool place, and just the history at Wrigley Field. So those are my honorable mentions.
The Midwest are so nice, man. Midwest people,
So
like
nice.
We went, and it was a little chilly that night. I went with my wife Ashley on one game, and we were in the shade on the right field, not bleachers, but the first baseline in right field, and she was cold, and we had somebody sit next to us. He's been a season ticket holder for years. Chicago Fire Department and everything. Like, just took off his jacket and gave it to my wife, and like nobody, like, it's, you don't get that in South Florida, I can guarantee you. And like just the people there too.
You get it in St. Augustine though.
True. Well, you guys got to need to get a MLB team. All right, Greg, what do you got?
We'll
Number
figure it
one.
out.
Yeah. So
An honorable mention
and
if you want
awesome.
to.
No, I didn't do my honorable. I went top 5 and top 5. That's it. I gave it some thought. But Chris, you stole my thunder, and having been, I'm interested to hear your number one. But Wrigley, Tottenham, and some of the others, me not having been there, I'm sure I would be impressed with them. I'd love to make it over the pond at some point, and Wrigley's on my list. I'm sure I'll be, in awe of
We'll go there
just
too.
the way
It'll
I
be fun.
was. What's that? Yeah.
We'll go there too.
Yep,
We ain't
it's
scared.
on my list. But number one for me, you stole my thunder, and it's been a number of years since I've been, but I've always wanted to go back, and that's Truist Park. It's my number one for
That's
all
awesome.
the reasons you mentioned. I went there, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. It's been a minute now, and like I said, I'm dying to go back. And as you mentioned, you're a Marlins fan. I'm a Mets fan. Why would I ever want to go and see a team that I can't stand? But it's because of the park. And I went there a number of years ago, went to visit my father who lives up in that area now. And while visiting, we had a couple plans to do things, but a baseball game was not on the agenda. And in the morning, we woke up and saw that, hey, coincidentally, the Mets happened to be in the town. So we were like, do you want to go? Sure. So we ended up finding some tickets. We made the trek down to Atlanta from the mountains, went to the stadium. At that point, I think it was only a year or two old. So they had kind of just built it, had no idea what to expect. And as you said, from the moment we stepped foot on the grounds, basically, because it's a complex around the stadium, I was floored. I'd never seen anything like it. Even these other stadiums that are newly built, they pour, at this point, billions of dollars into building them. It was an experience, from being able to enjoy the drinks, the food, the entertainment in and around the arena, and then take that into the stadium, the hotel that's out there, the in the right field, almost at ground level, they have that restaurant that you can actually go to. It was a complete experience that I thoroughly enjoyed, despite a rival in the building that I otherwise loathe. So for those reasons, it's my number one. I had a fantastic time, and I absolutely want to go back. They just they beyond exceeded my expectations in what a stadium can be and the atmosphere around it. So I think, we see teams like the Rays who are getting new stadiums. Yep, we got to go back. We all got to go. But I see teams like the Rays, who are getting a new stadium. They really, really need it and deserve it. And I think that what a team like the Braves are doing up there, that's the model. That's what you have to do, is create this experience for fans. And it worked for me. It really did, because they got me coming back as a repeat customer. I just got to figure out when. So that's number one on my list is Truist Park.
Good call, man. It really, I can't say enough good things about it. And they have like a Chop House restaurant, and they got all these different things. I feel like you can go 10 different times and have 10 different experiences, and all just eclipse each other. So my number one, been twice during a regular season game and an NFC championship game. Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin is number one. It's amazing. If you're a sports fan, go. Doesn't matter who's playing. I've gone twice working for the Bucs. I went during a regular season game when Jameis Winston was quarterback, and then we found our way at a limited capacity stadium. We had about 200 employee tickets that were up for grabs, won the lottery, found a way to get out there for the NFC Championship game when the Bucs clinched to go to the Super Bowl. And it's just insane. Like, there's nothing like it. Oldest operating NFL venue. They have a waiting list of almost 150,000 people to be season ticket holders. It's a decade long. You look at the history, and you can do a tour, and there's a whole Green Bay museum, and you got the Ice Bowl that, with wind chill, they played a regular season NFL game in negative 35-degree temperatures with the wind chill, and the fans were packed. Can't say enough good things. And similar to Wrigley, it's just a city that loves their team. It's a city that loves football. No disrespect to the Green Bay locals, but like, you don't really have too much out there, man. Like, so that you breathe green and yellow. If you go do the tour, we've been on the field. I just can't say enough good things. And then the one thing, and just same thing with Wrigley, good people, the Midwest. Like, I got a soft spot in my heart for anybody from the Midwest, but we went to a game, NFC Championship. If you come to Miami and we're playing the Bills in an AFC Championship game, you don't want to be wearing blue or red in any Dolphin bar. We're wearing all Bucs gear. There's like 15 of us. We go into this Packers bar right across the street from the arena, or from the stadium. This one guy starts talking to us, super friendly, has his little Wisconsin accent and everything. And he just was like, wait, you guys work in the NFL? Like, wanted to know about that. And whatever, like, exchanged some pleasantries, and like, he went on his way. And then about like a half hour later, I got a tap on the shoulder. I turn around, and he had a tray of shots. He bought it for the entire Bucs staff, and he's a diehard Green Bay Packers fan. And I'm like, who does that? Who does that? Wow. And
that's awesome.
Just the people are great. And then if and when you guys go, look up a little dive bar called the Sardine Can. I could do a whole separate article or a podcast, Adventures of the Sardine Can, with one of our good friends, Eric Cohen. He can vouch for it. But
I know about that stuff. Oh yeah.
Go there. Thank you later. It's just a really, really cool city, and the surrounding hotels are there, pretty affordable. On game day, they go up a little bit, but we went once with snow. We've gone once in the summer. Cheese curds are a real thing. In the concessions there, I got a brat with macaroni and cheese on top. Like, they just get it, man. Like they're not worried about their health. They just
Right.
love good, decent food, beer, and football. Like, let's go. So Lambeau Field, number
Awesome.
one. And then
That's awesome.
I had two honorable mentions. I had Fenway Park, and then another one. I just came back from Montreal, but the Bell Center in Montreal is now a bucket list item to go there for a hockey game. But a team with 100+ year history, they have poured into what it means for like a premium experience watching hockey. Just what they've done with the experience, the largest stadium or arena in the NHL with 21,000 fans. Honorable mention for me would be the Bell Center. Having not gone to a game officially, I can't say, but just being in that stadium, that arena, to get a tour and just see what it could be. I would love to experience a game in the Bell Center.
I love it.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with
very
any of those.
cool.
Lambeau
Yeah, that's
Bell.
great.
The history is something you can't replace, and you can't create. It just takes all those memories and those traditions that you have to have lived through and experience, and to be able to see that in some of these stadiums is awesome. So, gentlemen, fantastic list. I mean, that's great. It's awesome hearing your experiences. You guys have both put stuff on my bucket list, so it's awesome. Thanks for sharing it.
Okay, man.
Awesome.
Come
Chris,
with some. We'll make it work.
Yeah, Chris, we know we've kept you ultra long. You're too kind for staying with us. We can't thank you enough. We know you got stuff to do and things to get to. So just want to say thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so very much.
Means a lot to me and Dan for you supporting us in our journey here. We still don't know what we're gonna make of this thing, but we're having fun, and we hope you had fun today too. And can't thank you enough. So really, really appreciate you for joining us, man. You're a brother, and you're proud to call you a friend. So thanks for joining us.
Man, thanks for having me. I hope I didn't take up too much time. I still want to hear your locks of the week later on. I'm going to be listening to this on my way to work. But what you guys have going, it's organic. It's great. You're not trying to force anything, and I think it comes through. So it's been an honor. Again, I hope I didn't overstay my welcome, but I'd love to come on again.
Never.
But appreciate you guys, and have a good rest of the week, man. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Welcome anytime, my man.
Thank you, Chris.
You did not
really
stay.
appreciate it.
We will definitely have you back, and we'll talk
Thank you.
again soon. But happy Thanksgiving to you, my bud.
All right, man. Take care.
Yes,
Later,
sir.
bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, brother.
Chris Dolan,
Wow.
if you need him, man. Whew,
Christopher Dolinator. What a man.
It doesn't
What
get
a-
much
what a
better
man,
than
what a
that. I'll
legend.
tell you. I mean,
It doesn't.
he's a
Wow.
special guy. You've known him for a while, longer than I have, but he's a great dude. He's as good as it gets. He's a genuine guy.
Stand up.
Yeah, he is. He's a stand-up guy. Great all-around dude, and so thankful to be able to spend some time with
Holy
him.
moly.
So, yeah,
I mean,
it's been a great
we could've kept
show.
talking
We
all night.
we could have kept talking all night. That's
from what I can
exactly the
see.
thing,
That was-
and that's when you know
that was
you're
amazing.
doing a good show and you got good content because it flows. He was awesome.
Yeah.
So
we can't say
we
enough for that.
we went long and we talked about a lot of different things, but we got to get our locks of the week in here before we do anything.
Sure.
I'm gonna pull it up right now, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna give a rundown because I gotta give you your much due props again. You had me the
I was
overall
texting you Sunday
standings.
too, my man. Oh yeah.
You did, and you had me looking at my picks. Your games were over before mine started, so I was still feeling hopeful. You were going into the season, the standings. You had me a game. I had 4 correct and six L's. You were 5-5, and no, I'm sorry, I'm reading that backwards. You were 6-6, and I was 5-7. And this past week, you went a nice 2-0. You got both your picks right. So you're sitting at 8-6 now for the year. And I went 1-1. I split the difference. So I'm still sitting at 6-8. So you got me by 2 games now. You were impressive. We just to recap of last week, I had my lock of the week was Detroit giving 2.5. It was a close one, but they ended up winning by 3. So I barely got away with that one by the skin of my nose, and my upset. I must be something special. Hopefully people find me maybe entertaining and informative or something, because Lord knows if they trust my some of my picks, they might end up in the poorhouse. I took the Giants plus 17. I didn't think there was any way that they were going to get blown out, and of course they did. So I don't really want to talk about that anymore. But I went 1-1, and then your picks, you were spot on. You had San Fran given 3. they could have given
Yeah.
30 or whatever they ended up winning by. It was a slaughter fest. And your upset was Houston getting 7, and they ended up winning outright. So you
yeah.
deserve some props there. You got them both. And now we turn the page to week 11. And I'm looking at
Can I add
some
something?
game.
Can I add something on those
Go
picks
for it.
real quick before you go?
What you got?
So I'm reading a text right now from our friend Chris Dolan, who was just on the show. So I want to read a text this past Friday at 9:30 a.m. Obviously, he's an avid listener of the show. He says 49ers -3, ? Got to disagree with you on that one. So, yeah,
Ooh,
just wanted to throw that out there. 34-3. Just wanted to throw that out there.
It looks easy looking back at the game and seeing the score, and they just demolished them.
Chris Dolan, he texted me that right away. I had to call him out.
You know what? Hey, you proved the people wrong. You know something over there, over in DOB land, and you nailed it. You nailed it on both. And honestly, I would argue that that game could have been a toss-up, but the upset, the Houston +7 against the Bengals was the harder pick. We talked about that. As we're picking the upsets, those teams are not supposed to win, and you got that game correct too. So I'll give you your props for going 2-0 on the week. Yep. And now we got to look the week ahead, and I'm looking at the game that starts in 2 days, TNF Thursday Night Football. You got a divisional smash up between the Bengals and the Ravens. Both those teams coming off losses that they probably want to forget. I don't know how the Ravens ended up losing to the Browns, and obviously we talked about it. The Bengals just lost to Houston, so both those teams need a W in the worst way. And when those two teams play each other, it's just, to me, it's smash mouth football. So I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. There's a couple other games that I think are just complete toss-ups. I was looking at the Jets Bills. I mean, the Bills are giving 7, but after the way they played, I'm not touching that at all. A divisional game, you just too many wild cards. And the Monday night game, Kansas City and Eagles. I mean, damn, there is some good football going on this week. Like, I am excited to watch a couple games. Even honestly, I Pittsburgh kind of mystifies me. I don't know how they have the record they have, but that's another divisional game playing the Browns. Browns given 4. Yeah, I'm staying away from that. There's a lot of tough games here. I'm going to go my lock of the week this week. I'm going to get on your train, Dan, and I'm going to go Houston -4 over the Cards. I'm still not a believer in the Cards. I know Kyler Murray's back.
Okay.
They don't excuse me, they're not impressing me. Houston's at home. I'm all aboard the CJ Stroud train. I got him on my fantasy team. Yep. So give me Houston -4 as my lock of the week.
Yep.
And now looking at the upsets, this is tough. I mean, there's a lot of spreads. I mean, Dolphins, and Raiders, that's a 13-point spread. Lions, Bears is 10. Panthers, Cowboys is 10. Bucks, San Fran is 11. I mean, could any of those teams possibly upset or keep it within 10 points? I don't know. I mean, I think those are lopsided games.
Yep.
I'm torn here. I'm going to go a little off the board. I believe they're not coming off a bye, I don't think. Did Seattle play this past week? I can't remember if
they beat the Commanders, the Redskins. They beat the Redskins.
They beat the Commanders. That's right. And it wasn't an impressive win, but it's the Rams coming off a bye, I believe. And Stafford is supposedly going to be back. And I know they're home, but I still think Seattle has looked like the better team this year. And, well, actually, see, I can't do this because they're giving 1. So I'd have to go the other way.
-1. I got -1. Yeah.
Yep. Damn it. Never mind. I misread that. I thought they were getting 1. So you know what? Well, I do believe it's going to be a toss-up. I'm gonna go the reverse because I do think it could be a pick-em, even though I'm tempted to think Seattle can and should win the game. Knowing now that the Rams are the upset, I think they could keep it within, a couple points, if not win it outright. So give me the Rams as my upset, getting 1 point. Is that what you have on the line?
Okay. Yep, I got them 1 point.
All right. I'm going for it. At first I was thinking Seattle, but I'll take the Rams.
Okay.
What you got?
So I got my upset of the week. I got the Steelers plus 3.5. What do you think about that? You got plus 3.5?
I see Steelers. I have +4. I'll give you the 4 if you want it.
Okay.
Wait.
So Steelers plus
Wait,
4 is.
That's your upset?
Yep, that's my upset.
Okay, I'll give you
So
the
that's
4.
Steelers getting +4. Yep. And my lock is going to be. There are some interesting games, like you were saying. Ooh, so that's not that.
It's tough.
My lock is going to be your favorite team. Your favorite team. We talked about them. They're Chargers -3.
Oh, good God. As your lock of the week, you are a bold man. You are bolder than I am. Sheesh.
I'm keeping it 6 straight. And I'm four in a row. I'm going for 6 in a row, my man.
Yeah, I like it. All right. LA Chargers giving 3. You know, I don't think the Packers are anything at all.
So you got them -3, right? Chargers -3.
Yep.
Okay, that's my lock.
I like that. I do think they win. You know,
I just know how much you love the Chargers. I know how much you love the Chargers, so that's why I did it for you.
Yeah, I like it. That's a good pick. I mean, I like I said, I do think they win the game, but I don't know. Lock, I'm not sure. So I give you credit. I got to make up some ground on you because you know we're past the halfway point of the season. We only do 2 picks a week, so you know I theoretically could catch you if I go 2-0 and you go 0-2. But you know, if we even go 1-1, you know, you and I were splitting kind of picks early on in the year when we started doing this, so it's hard to pick up ground. And you've already got me on 2 games now, so
4 straight win streak.
I gotta hope. You did rattle off 2-0 the last 2 weeks, so got to give you your kudos there. So proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
So we went long. We're coming up on 2 hours. We filled it with content today. We had an awesome interview with Chris Dolan, who joined us for a long time, and we again can't thank him enough. You know, it's a good point for us to wrap. We'll probably come back next week and touch on some things we didn't get to touch on this week. You know, NBA, a little bit more NHL, and even some of the college landscape. But full pack show, and I think hopefully we delivered. Hopefully people are still enjoying listening to us. You can always check us out on the book. Check us out on X. Send us some emails, info@overtimesportshow.com. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from our friends. We want to hear from strangers. And keep this thing moving. So
check the comments.
Any parting words for the people, Dan?
Check the comments. We got the most comments ever. If you check them out, look at all those people.
The comments are popping. That's where you want to be. You want to communicate with us, we'll give you a platform. This platform is
we got
live.
little Go Bruins. Look at little Go Bruins. Look at this guy.
The people are out. I love it. In full force. So
that's an old friend of the show, old Jeffrey Creason right there. He's watched from day one, every single episode. We got to give him some love. We got to give him a lot of love.
Much love to Jeffrey Creason. Much love to all the people out there.
He's been a biggest critic of ours. He's the one who out on our faults after episode 1, which there wasn't many. So we got to appreciate it, and we got to call him out, and we appreciate it, Mr. Jeffrey Creason.
Absolutely. Appreciate everybody listening. Hope everybody has a great evening, and we will see you again in a week. Deuces.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Everybody come see the greatest show. Everybody come, everybody come, everybody. Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll.